Defining yourself as a depressive person, assuming the identity of a depressive person, does more harm than good in the long term. First, what is an identity? An identity is the answer to the question of who am I? We have a constellation of identities regarding our role in society, our role in the family, our cultural, societal, and religious heritage. We have a multitude of identities. And why do we need identities? Well, we need them because first, it justifies the existence of the self to others, and second, because it strengthens the idea of the self to ourselves. So instead of defining ourselves as this multitude of components and specificities which make up our individual existence in the world, we simplify all of that into identities, into things that are self-explanatory, that we are just able to say one word and it has all the meaning of that in that one word. And it helps a lot our communication, it helps a lot even, as I said, the idea that we have of ourselves. It helps to establish goals regarding to our personality, to our goals in life. It helps in many ways in life. Identities also mean that you become a part of the group. And that means a lot of times that you adopt a certain mindset, a certain behavior, a certain way of existing because you are part of that group. And when you become part of a group, you assume even more the identity, the behaviors and the patterns and the actions of that group. For example, being a student. Before you were a student, you had a specific way of being. When you became a student, you start adopting the dress code of your peers, the slang of your peers, the way of communicating of your peers through texting or not through texting. You started going to the places that your peers were going as well. You started going out to places that your peers were going as well. You start to adopt the opinions of those around you because that's normal. It's what happens when you are part of the group. The benefits of adopting identities are clear and evident. When you assume an identity, a lot of the long, time-consuming and annoying explanations get summarized into this one word, which is understood by pretty much everyone. Also, there are instant guidelines and a very specific mentality that allows you to kind of orient your life. If you take the example of a student again, if you are a student, there is a set of behaviors and actions and thoughts that are expected of you because you are a student. And therefore it makes it easier for you to progress in life. If you're a student, you know that the overall goal will be to graduate and to, for a lot of people, go to college and then to progress that way. So there are clear checkpoints in your life and guidelines and overall guidance when you assume an identity. It simplifies life. That's the goal of it, to simplify life. But that is also the danger of identities. When you lose yourself to your identity, you cannot differentiate yourself, your individuality, from the identity. You are so ingrained into that, your ego is so attached to that label, to that identity, that losing it becomes literally like losing yourself. And the thing about identities is that they are not you. They are simplifications, they are explanations to the exterior because life gets literally easier with them. But they are not you. They are not who you are. They are perhaps a part of who you are, but they are not who you, in your essence, in your specific individuality that only exists in you. They're not who you are. Being depressed is an identity, and it works just like any other identity. It simplifies your life. It gives you a set of thoughts, behaviors, and explanations to who you are. And therefore, when you become depressed, when you have a depressive episode in your life, you need that reassurance. You need to know that there are other people who feel like you. You need to know that there are treatments, that there are answers, that there are causes for what you're feeling. And therefore, on a short term, it helps you to have a name, to have an explanation to who you are. But in the long term, it may become so intertwined into who you are that it becomes impossible to disentangle yourself from the label of a depressed person. And why is this a problem? Because you will always have that lingering thought in the back of your mind, even if you have recovered. You will always have it in the back of your mind, saying that it might come back because it's who I am. It might come back at any time. And everything that happens in your life, and you feel those feelings start to emerge, that those patterns start to emerge, you will immediately say, it's my depression coming back. And the moment you say it, it becomes true. It becomes who you are, because you are a depressed person, and that's something that is bound to happen. Every time something bad happens in your life, you're bound to get lost in those depressive fits again. And there's nothing you can do to control it, because it's who you are. It's part of your identity. It's your identity as a depressed person. I really understand this having to name things in order to solve them. I really do, because I used to think that way for a long time. I used to think that finding the reasons, finding the names, the labels, all the appropriate identities for things, I thought it would help me. But I realized that it just made me stuck, and it just gave me a problem. The problem just had a name. It didn't come with a solution. The fact that I could be labeled as something became just a name to the problem. It didn't come with a solution. Because then I realized that the solutions were just justifying the problem. They were not really helping the problem. And I remember when I was talking to a friend about what I was feeling at the time, and them saying, you might be depressed. And I remember the feeling of relief, of joy when I heard that. Oh, there's a name to this, finally. Oh my God, that's so great. That's all I ever wanted. I thought I was crazy. But as time went by, I realized that it didn't really help me. It just made me more aware of all the places where I was lacking something. I could be lacking something. And it didn't really give me a solution. It just gave me a problem. It just gave me a name to the problem. And that's why I think we should be very careful when labeling someone as a depressed person, as having depression, especially because there are a lot of things that could be causing your depression, things that you have a lot of control over, but there's this agenda that is being pushed that makes doctors very inclined to diagnosing patients with depression. It's a lot easier to diagnose someone with depression than to take a hard look at their lives and saying that this is a hard period in your life, but you will get over it. You will really get over it. Especially if you look at a bunch of other biological parameters, which I did a lot of research on, which are real, and that could be very well the cause of your depression, and not some mysterious chemical imbalance in the brain that is inherited when it turns out that is not even true. I think we should be very careful when diagnosing someone with depression, because we might think we're giving them a solution, but we could just be giving them an identity so that their ego latches onto that, feels great about it because it finally has a name, it has an identity, it can justify its actions through this identity without really helping the change to happen. That's the risk. So before you assume any identity, do a lot of research about it. I have some videos on this, about the whole antidepressant scam, because it is a scam. If you're curious, you can check it out. But other than that, always remember to look out for people that are trying to push an agenda on you. Make sure that in the end, You are choosing your life, you are choosing your actions. You're not letting people, media, your friends, your family, whoever, choose them for you. We have a lot more free will and choice over our mental health, our whole lives, but our mental health than we think we do, than we are taught to believe.